So tell us a little bit about the Wristband Diaries. Lady in Waiting, is that the first of the books?
It's the first one. It's a fiction trilogy based on my life. The first one is my years at British boarding school, aged between 12 and 18.
Okay.
So it's sort of everything that we got up to, the good and the bad, the naughty things as well.
So is this
you
like
were quite naughty though, weren't you?
I
you were kind of the
I never got
leader.
caught, though.
Yeah, well, you see.
is this a little bit like a slightly naughtier Mallory Towers? Or is it...
Could be compared to that. You know, I was asked to do an autobiography many times, and I just thought this was something a little bit lighter, and just different to do.
So are there a lot of stories in there actually based on some of the things that you got up to?
Pretty much everything happened.
I think that's a great idea, though, doing an autobiography kind of in a novel.
Yeah.
That's one thing I haven't done, so I might nick your idea.
And it's, you know, it's young adults, so to... You know, everyone from teenagers and up. I mean, my mother read it, she loved it.
You could actually hide behind the stories, though, couldn't you? You could use your
Exactly.
real stories, but just embellish them and sort of go mad with the characters. So was it good to see the characters developing?
It was. Some of the characters will be through all 3 books. But it was, it was really fun. I spoke to a lot of old school friends, you know, for getting some ideas, remembering some things that happened.
Was some of it difficult? Because although it's not an autobiography, you did base some of it on your life.
Yes, it was. I kind of locked myself away, and when I was really focusing on writing it with no distractions, became a bit antisocial.
But you also you talk about some really difficult times in your own life. I know you changed, for example, the age in which this happened. But you touch on your main character. Her father dies in the book. Your father died. While you were away at boarding school. And how were you actually told the news that your father died?
I was actually, when I did hear about when it happened, I was already at school. I was only 9 years old, though. I just started boarding school, and I was brought into the headmistress's office, and my mother was on the phone.
Okay,
and that's how I heard.
So you heard it
That's
that way.
a terrible way to hear, really, isn't it? You know, at boarding school, I'm sure you...
I just started. It was like my first term.
How did you cope with that at the time, being so young and away from home?
It was really hard. I mean, you know, we lived in Monaco and I was in Kent, you know, away from everybody. And, of course, you know, flew back straight away. But it was, you know, it's definitely something that's impacted my life.
And Victoria, obviously, grief is grief. A girl losing her father is one of the most heartbreaking experiences that any human being can go through. And it doesn't matter whether you're a lady or whether you're somebody living on a housing estate. The raw emotion that you go through is the same. But there will be people who will think, well, what have you ever had to worry about in your life? You know, you say, we lived in Monaco, but I was at boarding school in Kent. Is this your chance to show through the books that, you know, you might look like you've got everything, but actually life can be just as tough.
Yeah, life can, exactly. I mean, I lost my father and I had 2 half-brothers. I also lost, in the space of, by the age I was of 15, 16, I lost 3 family members.
That is so hard and so young. Do you think that made you rebel a bit?
Probably did, but I'm the eldest. I have a younger brother and younger sister, so it always made me quite responsible as well, because I was sort of, I had to look after them.
Allegedly, your half-brother squandered 30 million. Now, whether that's correct or not,
probably more.
That's what probably more. Are you ever resentful of that? That's so much money.
And that was back
family.
then. That was 30 years ago. So can you imagine what that actually would be now? Of course, I wish that didn't happen. But that's life. That's what happens. And
But do you resent it a bit?
I do. But not too much. I've kind of let it go.
Stops you moving forward.
I've just sort of got on with my life, and you know.
And what's next now? You're based in LA. Are you still based
in LA? I've lived there on and off for 12 years now, and I love coming back here. I love spending time here, but I love going back.
So why did you leave England? Because you were doing so many reality shows. You did everything. You was just everywhere, and then suddenly you went to America, and then we didn't really see much of you.
That was the idea. You know, it was a stage of my life here where I just felt I was under such a microscope. I couldn't walk out the door. Like, there were photographers outside my flat in London. Like, everything I did, they were there. They wrote about it. I would have friends you know, come back. It would be in the Evening Standard the next day. I think it was a time where there was no social media, so the paparazzi, it was a lot more heavy back then.
Wasn't it?
But now you can answer back now on
Like
social
right
media,
now,
dilutes
because
it.
there's social media, there's not as many paparazzi. But back then it was crazy.
So did it force you to quit? We were talking about quitting. Did that in a way force you to quit?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. I wouldn't say I quit. I just got out. You know.
But now you want to come back in. With the book, you've done the jump. Does that mean you want to enter it back and come back to England?
I wouldn't say I want to move back permanently, but I would like to spend some time here. But
And what about, have you found a nice man yet?
I am waiting for him to find me. I'm not looking.
Sometimes you've got to go and find them. You can't just always wait for them.
You see,
I know.
we don't know.
I know.
I know.
I'm still not married
not a good
once.
example, really.
Yeah, don't go out with her.
So maybe I need to hang out with
Like
kids.
kids, you want kids?
I
and-
do. You know, you know, I would love to have children.
How old are you now? 39?
I'm late 30s.
Sorry, I'm 38. Sorry.
But you know, all my friends have always said I am actually really good at children. Like all children love me. They're always like they gravitate towards me. So right now it's me and my dog, and he's my baby.
Yeah.
Click here to watch more interviews with a whole range of famous faces, and click here to subscribe. It's free, so you'd be silly not to, really.